I'm DJ.
And I'm Andrew.
Welcome to One Shot's Tavern,
A TTRPG podcast where we seek out new ways to tell your stories through different systems and games. Welcome to today's episode. I am super excited to let you guys know that both my Kickstarter, Battle School, a team-based TTRPG, and DJ's Kickstarter for Pink Security and More are both live. And it's been, 48 hours since we launched, roughly?
Yeah.
And
roughly.
DJ is fully funded for his first goal. I am just now getting close to that point, but for those of you that are listening that have already backed, thank you so much for making this possible. For those of you that are not aware of these projects, you could listen to our last series. We did 3 episodes, one on self-publishing as a whole, one on Battle School, and one on Pink Security and More. So you can get some more info there. You can also get plenty of info on our individual Kickstarter pages. We're doing this as a part of Zine Quest, which is a big publishing effort for the month of February. So you will be able to back both of our projects during the month of February and help us get both of our first published products into the world.
Absolutely. We're super stoked about it. Also want to thank you guys so much for the support that you've given. It's awesome. You know, you set a goal and you're like, hey, over these 30 days, I want to reach this amount. And then like seeing that happen or come close to happening like within the first like day and a half is super cool because it's like your little baby that you've been working on this entire time is being appreciated. And that's awesome having people excited about your stuff. Stretch goals. I know I've got some in mind. Andrew probably has some in mind as well for Battle School. So that's kind of our next leg of this journey over the next 20 something days. Mine ends on March 1st. I don't know.
I think I'm
Yours
around the same
is
spot, but yeah.
around the same spot.
Yep.
Yeah, so perfect. My first stretch goal is $4,000 because while the art that is currently in the Pink Security and More book is beautiful, I want more of it. And the artists that I have hired to do this are incredible. And I want to support them as much as I possibly can in order to, give them the recognition they deserve. Another one is I'm currently writing some mechanics for junk races, which is a major part of the setting for Pink Security and More. There'll be more stuff later on. I'm sure we'll be updating you throughout the month here on the podcast.
Yeah, for me, the main stuff for stretch goals is pretty similar. I'm looking at hiring an editor to make this read well and play as well as it can. I'm also looking to hire out some additional artists. Right now, it's just me bootstrapping it with my own work, and my wife's going to be helping with some of the layout. But I'd like to focus on the part that I am most focused on, which is the actual mechanics in the game itself. So, yeah, if you are able to help us push us over those additional stretch goals, that makes those things possible. That makes these projects not only exist, but significantly better than just that absolute bare minimum. And yeah, so thank you guys so much for all that. Today, speaking of smaller publishers, we are going to be jumping into a game with Even Footing Games. Jason ran a game for us recently of Babies and Broadswords. It was hilarious. My face hurt so much by the end of playing this game because of smiling and laughing and just having an absolute blast. So please enjoy our episode where we talk with Jason about it. You'll see some clips throughout. And we hope you check out Babies and Broadswords.
My name is Jason Cassidy. I'm the creative director for Even Footing Games. We are a multinational and yet tiny, mighty indie role-playing game company. Our flagship game is Babies and Broadswords, which has 3 books out right now, with a 4th on the way this spring. I'm hoping, if I can finish the damn thing. But we are, self-funded. Our sales have all gone through word of mouth. We'll throw books at everybody, and really this is just a game that we built from the ground up, a company that we built from the ground up. The majority of the core folks we were all working together on a game for a more well-known writer who had some big hits in the 90s that had some bangs to him back in the day. Who's been trying to recapture his past glory for the past 30 years. and when they tell you don't meet your heroes, sometimes that's true. So we decided we were going to go work for ourselves. So artists, writers, just gamers in general, we just kind of all decided we want to put a little conclave together and rule everything by consensus. And what we came up with was a game about eating boogers, throwing poop at people.
Right.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm sure DJ's shared a bit about us, but like it's so in line with what we
Yes.
are valuing and why we're doing this
Mhm.
podcast. Like the heartbeat of it is like you don't need to just play what you've always played. There are so many not better
Many,
games, but
yeah.
games that are better for
Mhm.
things that you might actually want to be playing.
Right.
And so we are going on that journey, having grown up in 3.5 and 5e and
Mhm.
Pathfinder and all that stuff, and venturing out slowly. We kind of stepped into Cypher, and now we're kind of in the like, holy cow, there's so many options. And it's exciting and it's
Yeah.
fun. So we're like, we're going to do a podcast on this, make sure we're inviting people on this journey, not to say, hey, we are experts on all of the random esoteric TTRPGs. It's to say we aren't. And this is a journey of
just wanna
discovery.
learn.
Yeah. Like, and so you can become a better storyteller. You can become a better game master by playing a diversity of games
Mhm.
and going, oh, I kind of like that mechanic. Maybe I want to tweak that for something of my own. Maybe you want to, make some homebrew or a full setting or a whole rule set. And so,
Right.
yeah, that's kind of where we're at on our journey. I'm working on a whole rule set right now myself, and DJ's working on a setting book for Zine Quest. And both Drew and Will are people that we've both played with over the years. Yeah, we just want to bring along our friends to try out other fun games, and we're excited to play.
Yeah, no, we're right there with you. We stepping out of the D&D sphere. Same thing. I grew up on 35. That's still my jam.
Yeah.
Play D&D. That's what I want to play. But yeah, just finding the Cypher system, finding the old Fate system. Playing Call of Cthulhu. Finally, it's just like all of these little. Not like Call of Cthulhu's little, but all of these other companies
Yeah.
that are just on the fringes. And then once you get to those fringes, then you start finding the kids in their basement who are writing games that are just you can only find on PDFs from their website, and then finding how people are taking all these mechanics and different ideas and throwing them all together. And it's we've been designing games forever because we've been homebrewing everything for so long. And those of us who have been gaming since high school or whatever for, however many decades ago that was, we played some janky games, and you learned to create by just having to make things work somehow. Anybody who's ever played a game of Shadowrun previous to 2016 knows exactly how broken the system can be, but making it work is a labor of love.
Yeah.
So I think that's
Right.
That's really where we're coming from as well. We love games so much. We want to take all of the cool things that we've come across and twist them and turn them and give them to people in a different way.
Sure. What made you want to do a game about babies and poop?
Well, I mean, there's no difference between the two, really. No, it's actually the idea was really just born out of a bullshit session that I was on an actual play podcast, and we were trying to figure out what to do for some Patreon episodes. And this was during the pandemic, so I had nothing to do. I was home with the kids who were also pretty much furloughed. We're all at home, and we're all driving each other nuts. Basically, my wife said, "You need to stop just sitting around staring at the wall. Why don't you try to do something?" So, all right, but I got nothing to do. So between that and bullshitting with the other actual play guys, trying to think of what we were going to do for our Patreon game, we were joking around like, "Oh, wouldn't it be funny if we were our characters but babies? Like we did like a babies version of our characters right now." And so I kind of spun off on the idea. I'm like, what would that look like? And then just having the kids right there, just watching them. They were, at the time they were 5 and 7, somewhere around there. So right in that prime we are big enough to cause damage, but we are not big enough to feel sorry for the damage we are causing. And we have cabin fever, and our parents are trying not to convince us that the world is ending. So just being stuck with them and watching the shenanigans they got up to keep them safe, having an unknown infinite amount of time by myself, and just being so kind of, I'll get a little political, but being in the middle of the Trump presidency and a pandemic, and watching everything fall apart around us, I wanted something fun and whimsical. Like, I missed being silly, and so that's where the initial idea came from, and it was something I had on the back burner for a while. And then when we were when I started working on the game for Vampire Guy, they were taking things and they were going real super grim dark with it. I was like, I feel like we're living this right now. I don't want to play this.
Please, can we be happy?
Right. Yeah, exactly. Why can't we have fun when we're playing games anymore? Like, oh, this is serious. It's not that serious.
It's like how nobody wanted to play the game Pandemic for a couple years
during the pandemic. Yeah.
Still don't.
Oh, the funny thing is, I was running a bookstore right before everything closed down, and we were selling a lot of copies of Pandemic. I think people were like buying them as joke gifts, not thinking that it would be 2 years. We were pretty regularly.
Yep.
But yeah, I think it was just we wanted to play something fun. We wanted to have fun again.
Yeah.
So when I brought the skeleton of what I thought was a pretty finished game to the group of folks who we had all gotten together to make even footing, and said, "Hey, I've already got this thing that's pretty fleshed out. Why don't we make this our first game? We won't have to do much work." And then the numbers nerds took a look at it. We're like, "No, you need to do a lot of work on this." So that was an education for me as well. It turns out, I can write a story, but I can't do mechanics at all. So it's when I meet somebody who's doing both, like can write and also can do the math, I'm fascinated. Like, my brain does not work that way.
Yeah.
That was really like, hey, it works a lot better in a collective when everyone can put their 2 cents in. But that was really what it was. It was just, we wanted to have fun, and we wanted to do something that was our own. So you guys are actually I'm going to be running you through a little section of our newest module, Bathfinder, which we're trying to get out by March. That's the hope. It takes place in the main location of the Babies and Broadswords universe is Lady Chastity's home for unwanted children and other heirs of judgment, where all of the kids are orphans. So there's a big subterranean sewer world underneath the orphanage. It was our Underdark, basically. So Bathfinders takes place predominantly in the underground. It's a pirate, baby pirates in the sewer type. So I'm going to run you through one of the islands. There's actually the way we're setting the book up is that each island, each section, is a 2 or 3 episode campaign, but I'm going to short it down. And then there's a map piece that you need on each island, beating the bad guys. So that when you beat all the bad guys, you have the whole map and you finish the game. So one of the things that we wanted to make sure that we were doing is a game that beginners and folks who've been playing for a while could pick up easily. This is really the back pocket game. This is somebody
Zero
gone
prep.
from your regular game. Yeah, exactly. Zero prep. Character creation is real quick. So the way we've done our stats is we're going on a 3x3 system, basically. Your main stats, we call them your big 3, are adventurousness, precociousness, and cuteness. And in a sense, adventurousness is your physical stuff, precociousness is your mental, cuteness is your charisma, your attractiveness. We basically took the basic 7 from D&D and just smoked 3. So for each of the big 3, we have a number array of 5, 3, and 2, and you can pop those wherever you'd like. So if you put 5 in adventurousness, you're going to be a more active kid. Each of our big 3 stats corresponds with what we call a misfortune. These are your hit points in a sense. Adventurousness goes with ouchies. Grumps goes with cuteness. And tummy aches goes with precociousness. So what you're going to do is roll a d6 and add whatever your big 3 stat is, and then it'll give you the max. So the higher the number, the more damage you can take of that particular kind. So, and again, the damage type will fit along with the big 3 as well. So if you take physical damage, you get cheese. If somebody makes fun of you, you'll probably take grumps. If you lick something you shouldn't have licked, you'll probably take tummy ache.
Great.
If you ever hit your max on any of those, you have to go on a timeout. Normally in the game, and it's in the rules, you player have to physically get out of your chair and go to another room for 5 minutes. And then you can come back when the 5 minutes is up. But whatever happens while you're gone,
You have no idea.
you miss it.
That's
You have no idea.
awesome. I love that
Incredible.
so much.
That's
So-
phenomenal.
Does
I
everything
love
Given
it.
that
reset?
you can roll, you get to roll your max again, so you might have more
Oh.
than you did to the first in the first place. You might have less, and
That's
that was
pretty
more for the parents who realize, those of us who are parents. Sometimes your kid will take a 5-minute nap and be great for the rest of the day. Sometimes they'll be knocked out for 2 hours and still be a pain in the ass for.
There
So
you go.
you never can tell how the break is going to affect the kid.
Okay.
But what normally happens though is when somebody goes on a break and they leave the table for 5 minutes, everybody else steals their stuff. It's just inevitable. It's like that's what happens.
Yeah,
So they come
that's
they
mine.
come back to nothing.
You didn't say seat check.
Yeah, exactly. So your skills, each of the big 3 has 3 skills that go under it: muscly, nimble, and beefy. Muscly is how strong, beefy is how tough, nimble is how quick. For cuteness, you've got cool, adorable, and nosy. Cool is your ability to get out of trouble. Adorable is how cute you are, usually used mostly for charming adults. And nosy is how inquisitive your baby is. And then precociousness, you've got brainy, which is your book smarts. Crafty, which is your street smarts. And then guile is your ability to talk your way out of trouble, to lie to people and tell if they're lying to you.
Is that the number that's added to your D6?
That's the number that gets added to your D6. So if I
Okay.
ask you to make a crafty roll, it's going to be that number plus whatever your D6
Okay,
roll
cool.
is. Cookies are you eat cookies to both shoot off some of your special abilities, but they're also game currency.
Okay. So they are actually cookies.
They are actually cookies. Yes,
Sweet.
you've got a diaper full of cookies.
My character's name is Billy Dewey.
Billy Dewey.
Billy Dewey.
Mine's Therathena.
That with the Weena.
Therathena the Thortherer.
Therathena the Thortherer.
Oh, sweet
Love it.
Lord.
Super.
I'm wildly articulate for my age. I'm going to be Reginald, and I don't have a lisp.
Wedgie?
No.
Wedgie, get over here.
Reginald.
Nope. That's exactly.
Too late.
You're saying it wrong.
Wedgie, calm down.
Why are you
Reginald.
talking like that?
Wedginode.
Been waiting my whole life for this.
You're going to need to enunciate. All right.
You
Enunciate.
sound like a baby. And if in
We all
case it wasn't
babies.
clear, I am playing a bitch.
Have some damn self-respect.
I throw tantrums when people don't
Angelica.
do. Yeah, I'm basically playing
Nichols.
Angelica. Yeah, 100%.
My character's name is Eddie Lancaster, or Eddie Lancaster.
You have a last name?
Wow, he went.
All my
full-
characters have last
Did-
names.
And Billy Dewey is a... What class were you?
Plague Bringer.
Pueg
Plague
Buingo.
Breaker.
Like
Special.
it's that classic trope. You take your kid to like any kind of daycare
Oh, yeah.
or like
Oh,
anything.
yeah.
It's
Dude,
like boom, sick.
Yeah.
Immediately.
My 6-year-old has been sick since the first day of school in August.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
It's
Yeah.
never ending.
it literally, she has not been
Widowy.
like healthy. Widowy.
Widowy. The little one gives it to the big one. It gives it...
Yeah.
Ugh.
Usually my family, the little one will bring it home, give it to the big one. He'll give it to his mom. And then I'll get the super mutated version by the time it comes around. Yeah, like
Yeah.
the one that everyone else is shaking off.
And then you
already.
have a man cold, and nobody understands how much
Yeah,
pain you're
nobody
in.
Exactly.
understands.
Exactly.
So we
But
opted to not
he's a stubborn
do races in the game because there's no need for it. And we didn't want to,
Yeah.
the whole reason, it was very much a conscious choice that races in games had too much connotation behind them. So you can be whatever the hell you want. And that's also one of the fun things about playing with kids is you'll always get the kids like, can I be Thor? Yeah, you're fine. You're Thor. It's like, can I be can I be a talking raccoon who drives a garbage truck? You absolutely can be a talking raccoon who drives a garbage truck. I will figure out how to do a garbage truck in the game.
Not a problem.
So we made the rules simple enough that you can do that kind of crazy stuff and still make it. That's it. That's character creation. So for combat, we split combat into 3 steps. There are 3 things you can do to combat. You can do a big thing, which is one of your special abilities or making an attack. You can do a little thing, which is using an item or passing something back and forth between players. And you can do a moving thing, which is moving. And we've cut movement down to 3 ranges. Spitting range is our middle distance. So you're not touching, but you can spit on somebody from that. Flailing range is close and personal. And then flinging range is our long distance. So you can decide how you want to move combat forward. Are you going to fight? Do you want to call them names? You're going to try to hug them into submission. The way that you decide to act in combat is going to depend on which of the big 3 you're going to use. So, for example, if you want to call them names, and you're going to use precociousness, or if you want to try to pet the doggies into submission, then you'll probably use cuteness. Some enemies are going to be stronger against certain types of attacks. Some are going to be weaker. It's really just kind of figuring out, trial and error, what the case is. Combat's real easy. When it is your turn to attack, you roll whatever your attack is. The opponent rolls whatever their defense is. If you roll higher, the difference is the damage that's done. If the defender rolls higher, then it's just a miss. And then we continue on from there. Pull up my notes. You gentlemen are the first non-company people to come across this. So your listeners will have a foot up.
Heck yeah.
Great.
So when our adventure begins, the 4 of you have been sailing around in your cardboard box wrapped in duct tape, kept afloat by half-empty plastic bags, down the stinky brown river, which runs through the sewers underneath Lady Chastity's home for unwanted children. You've been tasked with capturing former pirate and current supervillain Dr. No-No from his not-so-secret volcano lair. And you've managed to make your way to what you think is his volcanic island. You're pretty sure it's his volcanic island because there's a giant volcano on it. And that is usually an indication. And if there's one thing that a supervillain's going to do, it's build a volcano on an island in a sewer. Hidden deep in the underground, away from the prying eyes of Sheriff Maritime Law, rises a forbiddingly conical mountain. What seems to be an inhospitably impenetrable island is actually the secret hideout of pirate-turned-supervillain Dr. No-No. Dr. No-No has traded in his eye patch and squeeze box for laser beams and Cold War politics. Ever since he left his crew, he's sworn vengeance on any babies still insisting on playing pirates. He's done with pirates. Pirates are lame. Pirates are right up there with zombies and CrossFit. You stepped on his island, you're going to play his game, which is superheroes.
You can join us over on Patreon for access to the full playthrough of our game of Babies and Broadswords with Jason. Next part here will just be our post game where we chat with Jason about our experience. I have a nerdy question right off the bat. So what, and I know you said you got a lot of help on the number crunching stuff, but when it comes to the creative side, right, what piece on the mechanics end are you most proud of? Whether it's super silly or just like feels clever or feels like it really has the ethos of the game. Like what about this system like kind of sums it up for you the most in that way?
As far as the mechanics go, I think the most fun thing that I enjoy, the thing that I enjoy, and people seem to enjoy most, is the timeout aspect. That is physically kicking the players off the table
Yeah.
when they hit those limits, when they need a potty break or whatever the reason. I think it's just it's a fun little bit of chaos that, in these short hour-long sessions we don't
Yeah.
usually hit, but when you're playing for a night or so, you'll usually hit
Yeah.
them a couple times. And it's just a fun little bit of chaos. And I think we had a lot of fun with just coming up with what kind of special abilities would a baby think is impressive, what a toddler think is impressive. What would be a superpower for a 5-year-old, and how do we make that somewhat realistic and yet still have that sense of action of power. The idea is, when we were writing it, very much like the Muppet Babies, you never really know if they're really throwing fireballs or if they're just pretending they're throwing. So it's walking that line between what's imagination and what's actually, a real thing that's happening. So
the simplicity of the dice rolling feels very flexible and it feels easy to catch on to. I think what was it? I think specifically like the class abilities really encapsulated just a silly moment. So the minute you read it, you're like, oh yeah, I got this. Like, you know exactly what you're gonna do with it. So I could see like, in even like coming up with my character concept, I got the pre-gen sheet. I was reading through it and I'm like, oh, I know this kid, right? Like I know exactly who this kid is. Like they want things to go their way. I'm not a barbarian from the sense of like, I'm strong and stupid and I hit things. I'm actually a know-it-all that, wants things to always go their way and they freak out when it's not the case. And it's like, that makes so much sense.
Right.
And it shifts my like role-playing expectations while still giving me something really familiar to hold on to more on a more mechanical side of things.
Cool. Awesome, right on it.
Yeah, what did you guys think of your classes?
This plague bringer, right, of just like spitting in people's faces, and just taking the belly, the tummy ache pain, and just converting it into something else. Because like I'm a super spreader, nothing affects me. I'm basically Typhoid Mary.
Yeah, the plague carry might be a little OP, but like I said, he was like a special hidden character, so we wanted people to feel like they earned something. But yeah, it was fun for us to kind of not just play on the tropes of your typical fantasy game characters and Crawl of Cthulhu of your your horror tropes and stuff like that, but to also make them kiddie versions, to silly everything up a little more and to make more mature.
Well, and even in the mechanics that feel familiar, it's like you've adequately changed the language around it that even though like I realize, I know what that is, a proxy for, it still reflavors it and it doesn't feel the same anymore. Like it's not just a reflavor, but it tonally shifts even how you use it in a way.
Yeah.
So I think that's pretty sweet. Go ahead, Drew.
Yeah. I loved the way the Thorther played. Like just looking at like the class abilities, like I was like, okay, cool. Like, how am I gonna, plan this out to use these? And like, especially like the last one of like, that's not what my book says. Like that was like when we were in that moment, it was just like, okay, this is the perfect time to use this. When he's talking about, like superheroes are cool. I'm like, no, my book says otherwise. I'm like, so, yeah, I really liked that, a lot. And just the whimsical like nature of this game was a lot of fun. Like Andrew said, like I was dying laughing like the whole time. So
half the time I had to mute.
As aspirational publishers and self-publishers in the future here,
Sure.
What would be your advice to people getting into self-publishing? Not just for, myself and DJ who have stuff coming up here, but anybody who
hmm
hasn't taken that leap.
Um, get a friend who's taking some business courses, or take them yourself. First of all,
I've done that.
especially with a group of creatives, we had no idea what we were doing when we first started. We had no how to start things, how to do whatever the case. Don't be afraid to, I guess, sell out to some extent. You're gonna need to probably get into bed with Amazon to some extent. You're gonna need to get, with some companies that on in our progressive liberal hearts we don't want to deal with, but
Yeah.
they're the ones who run the game.
Right.
So a lot of our distribution came through Amazon. Ingram does our in-store distribution. Really, the thing that we learned that we weren't expecting more than anything was how much we were going to have to bust our butts doing social media, doing our own advertising. We live and die by engagement. If Erin, who is our business director, if her kid is sick and she can't post anything for a couple of days, that might be our sales for them. And just accept the fact that you're not going to make any money for a long time, if ever. I mean, we've been, first book's a little shy of 2.5 years, and I think we're just starting to turn a profit slowly. And not even to the point where I can pay anybody yet. But we love what we're doing, and everyone who has come to help us out has very much understood that this is a someday maybe promise that I will in one day give you money. We have held off on doing a Kickstarter because we wanted to build our base enough that we knew people were going to back us. So the plan is summer, winter, maybe we'll try to do a Kickstarter for Baby's hardback compendium of all the smaller modules and everything. But you're going to need to take the time to get an audience, to get the groundwork down. You need that word of mouth, and you really just need to get people invested in what you're doing.
Yeah.
If you're paying for it all out of pocket, it's gonna be costly, and some of that money you're never gonna see again.
Yeah.
But that's what you got to do, So it's hard, but if you're making stuff with people that you like and you're proud of what you're making, it's worth the money. It's worth the effort.
Right.
It's awesome.
Well, when you guys do launch your Kickstarter or start planning your Kickstarter, let us know.
Absolutely.
We would love to return to wreak more havoc as some babies even for that, and just so people know, because one of the big things about this is we want to learn new systems, but also we want to make sure that other people hear about new systems.
Yep.
So.
And I appreciate that.
Yeah, and we love to.
So many great people. Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Just reaching out, doing interviews and stuff like this. I'm sorry. Yeah, I didn't mean to step on.
It's the Wi-Fi sometimes overlapping. Go ahead.
Yeah. I was just saying, we've met so many great people like you guys just doing stuff like this, reaching out to just random podcasts or having them reach out to us and Twitch streams and stuff like that. And it's really, there's a network of little indie creators who are busting their butts to make stuff. And it's good to have connections to people who've maybe gone through stuff before or picked up some hints and tips and tricks like that. So, the more you can not just get, word of mouth as far as advertising goes, but just share what you're doing with other people, build that community, or find that community. It's there, and everyone who's at this level, we all understand the struggle, no one's fighting anybody up here.
Yeah.
We're not worried about Monty Cook and Wizards of the Coast. We're never going to be that big. We just want to take care of each other.
Yeah, and we'll include links to pick up Babies and Broadswords and your other products and stuff like that in the description, because we definitely want to push the love your way on that, and we appreciate your time.
Yeah.
I'm so glad I got a chance to run a game for you guys. You were a hell of a lot of fun,
I'm
and
glad you ran it.
Yep. You're hitting
Yeah.
the right demographic over here with this dad. So it's
good.
Same.
That's what I was shooting
Same.
for. I see a lot of people kind of like as middle aged. The typical what you would think of when you thought of
Yeah.
role player games. Very much scoffing. I know it's not for me. Maybe it's not, but I think you'd be surprised,
Right.
at what we've got. Yeah, if you
Yeah,
give it a shot.
100%.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, having a 6-year-old myself, I can't wait to go buy the books and try it out with her
Yeah.
and see
Yeah.
like what we can do with it. So
yeah.
The games I've played with my kids have been some of my favorites, but by far, games that I played with their parents that's where the chaos really like shines. It's like
it's
you got a
great
bunch
because I'm getting a look into like Drew's relationship with his daughter. I'm like, oh, okay.
that makes
I know
sense.
that's from a
Okay, all
moment.
right, okay, yeah.
yeah,
That's
It's
awesome.
good therapy.
yeah, for sure.
For real. Well, this is probably the fourth outfit change for those of you watching on YouTube, but just wanted to say I've spent basically the whole day editing this episode. I am really proud of the game that we played, and the biggest thing that I want to say ending this episode here is if you got to this point, you really got to check out the whole actual play. It really tells the story
Yeah.
of Babies and Broadswords in a way that, I genuinely struggled on the edit today to communicate. I wanna share this hilarious, amazing experience that we had, and it was definitely a show don't tell kind of situation.
It was absolutely a incredible and fun time. One of those things where it's like you're hurting because you're laughing and smiling so much. So thank you so much, Jason, for running this for us. Uh, Check out the Patreon. There you can watch the entire gameplay. It is an absolute riot. I highly suggest it. You can check out our Kickstarters too. Andrew and I are both raising money for our zines, me for Pink Security and More, and him for Battle School. We would absolutely love your support on that. And we want to thank you guys so much for listening to the podcast. We are available on YouTube and just about anywhere podcasts are found. So if you want to watch us in video format and you're not right now, check it out on YouTube. Subscribe. There's going to be more stuff coming there. Check out our Twitch. There's also going to be more stuff coming there.
Thank you guys so much for being a part of our community, listening, watching, and make sure you like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next episode.